This week we are giving away a map of your choice along with a mystery patch. Stay tuned to the end of the episode to figure out how you can win all this goodness.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the Blue Ridge Bonfire, the weekly update show from Blue Ridge Overland Gear. We are all about overcoming the obstacles, getting outside. I'm CT.
That's Sasquatch. I'm Dean. So what's new in the world of Brog? Well, if you were paying attention last week, we dropped a hint about this little fella right here. That is the summer patch. First, there was fall. Then came winter. Then it was spring. And now, summer. So hopefully you guys are able to collect the whole set. They will be free with orders over $150 or available on the Blue Ridge Overland Gear website for the low price of $3.99. So that wraps up what's new. How about we throw it over to our man CT right here to answer some of your questions on editing videos.
Beam me up, Scotty! So the first question is from @NomoIdeas, and he asks, what is a good starter project? Like the first video project that you're gonna do to practice, to learn things and all that. And the short answer is that anything that's gonna get you out there creating stuff is fine. It doesn't really matter. But I think there's a few good ones that you could start with. Product reviews, rig walkarounds, gear walkarounds, how-to videos are typically a good place to start. And I recommend those because they can be short and concise. They're very searchable. Like they're going to answer questions that people are looking for, and that helps to focus your whole creative process on creating things for your audience, creating things for people, rather than just the oh, look at my family's vacation type of videos. So moving on from picking a starter project, my next question comes from Norse Falconer, and they asked, when you're shooting, what is a good proportion of shooting A-roll to shooting B-roll? What's a good ratio? So this is a really good question. Basically, your A-roll is the essential parts of your story. If you don't have a whole story in your A-roll, you don't really have a full video. So if you only have time to shoot one or the other, shoot your A-roll, and at least you'll have the minimum you need to put out a video. Now, as far as the B-roll goes, you will never regret having more awesome B-roll to spice up your video than you need. So B-roll, shoot as much as you have time for. So that's A-roll to B-roll as far as shooting goes. When it comes to editing, it's just as much B-roll as you need. So a lot of that comes down to the pacing and the style of thing you're doing. If it's a fast-paced promo or trailer, man, you're cutting away to show as much stuff as you can, but if it's a longer form content piece, you don't need it to be frenetic. Your audience is in there for the long haul, and they're going to be able to, and they're going to want to experience some of those longer sections of people talking. Now, another shooting question we got was from @Adley_Benson, and they asked, wide shots and close-ups, which do you prefer? Oh man, you make me choose. All right, so videos do well to follow that journalistic approach of starting wide and drawing your audience in from the wide shot to those portrait and medium shots, then to the close-up details. But then again, you start from those close-up details again and you go back out wide when you're gonna transition to another scene, and then you're drawing your audience's focus in again onto something else. And that ebb and flow you'll see in almost everything from Hollywood blockbusters to documentaries to product reviews to walkarounds, even sports. You don't want just tight shots, or as you cut around it's gonna feel really jumpy. And you don't want just wide shots, or it's gonna be a bit boring. Everything will be extremely tiny in the shot because you're huge wide, right? And then if you only shoot medium shots, every shot's gonna look pretty much the same. So really you want all three, but if I had to pick a favorite of wide shots or tight shots, typically I'd have to go with wide shots. I love the way a wide shot sets the scene and helps my audience know where they're at, and it also gives me a great thing to cut to begin a scene or the ending of a scene. So I think wide shots are probably my favorite. So now talking about scene transitions brings me to a question by Echo_Spartan on YouTube, and he said, you talk a lot about editing in regards to interview style video, but do you have any advice for more action-oriented, flashy trip highlight videos? So my approach to cutting something short, like a promotional video or a highlight reel or something like that, is typically to first pick the length that I want the video to be. And this constraint of picking like, oh, I want my video to be 1 minute long or 2 minutes long, just gets me in the right frame of mind to pick the very best stuff of all the footage so that the very best stuff gets into the promo. And make sure it's nice and punchy, it doesn't run on too long. The next thing I'm gonna do is pick some music, and this could change later, but I like to have some piece of music to start with to really get the sense and the feel for the energy. So the next step, just like in the editing tips I talked about beforehand, is look for the A-roll. But this is not A-roll like in a typical video. These are extremely short snippets. And they can also include what would normally be B-roll. For example, quick one-liners, funny things people say that quickly introduce a character or that quickly sum up or give the audience the impression of what the bigger story is, all of the excitement that's happening. That cool shot of the truck going through the mud hole, the awesome drone shot. If someone says, oh my gosh, there's no way that truck's gonna get up there, you better believe I'm gonna put that in the highlight reel because it's exciting. There's a lot of mystery, there's a lot of intrigue. It alludes to or it implies to that bigger story of, oh man, we're gonna get to see whether or not the truck got up there. So I'll take all of that stuff and I'll arrange it on the timeline. Once the A-roll track is down and it's starting to look decent, it's starting to work, I'm gonna start adding in more and more B-roll shots on top until the pacing is nice and fast. And the same principles apply of wide, medium, tight. I don't want all wides, all mediums, or all tights. Cutting from something really wide to something really tight is really punchy and dramatic, and that's good for promotional stuff. It's gonna be eye-catching and that kind of thing. So that's a tricky topic, but I hope that gave you some starting points, some things to try for editing a promo or a trailer. Now, also on the topic of editing, Dober Dad's Escapades, love this guy's name, on YouTube asks, I find Final Cut Pro a challenge to learn. Are there any good books or tutorials on how to use the program? I got you, man. I've been there. So these days, if I have an editing question, I'll just go to YouTube and start searching for tutorials. But when I was starting out, I did buy a few tutorial video series here and there, and they were a big help. So if you're very new to video editing, buying some kind of cohesive video course for the program that you want to learn can give you a huge head start. Some places to find video editing training courses are udemy.com, lynda.com, and rippletraining.com. And there's probably many more out there that I don't know about, but these are some that have some good reputation. So wrapping up editing, at Frigetto Photo asked, where can I get music that is actually good, and what is the most thoughtful way to incorporate it in so that it enhances the video quality without being a distraction? Now, as far as the quality of the music goes, half of your battle is just using a good music library, okay? Again, as we mentioned in the last video, we really recommend epidemicsound.com. Great price, great music. They've been working well for us. Now, one of the main ways to make music not distracting in your video is not to put music for the whole video. Instead of just having like a constant drone of music throughout the whole thing, I'll instead put snippets at the introduction, the outro, the transitions, the montages, and all that. And just like the B-roll goes on the track above the A-roll, down in the audio, I'll put the music below the dialogue track. Doing this makes moving the music around easier. You can work on it independently from the dialogue. Now from there, when I first bring that song onto the timeline, the first thing I'm gonna do is drop the volume at least 5 decibels, if not more. The default volume for music is just too loud for videos, so always drop it down a bit when you first bring it in. Now to make music or dialogue, for that matter, fade in and out, here's how you do it. Go to the end of the clip where you want the fade to be, and either put a transition effect on it, or some programs have these little handles and you drag them in, and that's gonna make that audio fade out right there at the end. Now, if you want the volume of the music to vary and change throughout the track, this is how you do that. In most programs, what you're going to want to do is hold the Alt key on your keyboard and then click along this line going down the middle of your audio track, and that's going to leave these little dots. And then you can grab the dots and move them up or down, or you can grab the lines in between them and move them up and down. And then the volume of the audio is going to go up and down according to the height of this line as that audio plays along. Now keep in mind, some music competes with dialogue more than others, so slower tempo, just instrumental music will fade into the background more, and then higher tempo, fast, high energy music is going to grab people's attention, so it's not great for putting underneath the dialogue. I think we have time for just one more. At 3B asked, what are the advantages and disadvantages of either a DSLR or a mirrorless camera? So first, they are very similar. In a DSLR, the image coming through the lens bounces off of a small mirror, and so the image goes up, and then it hits another mirror, and then it comes through the viewfinder so that you can actually see exactly what the lens is seeing, even when the camera is off. And you use that to line up your shot, and then when you take a picture, that mirror flips out of the way, and then the light can hit the image sensor, and then it records that picture, and that's how you get a photo. Now, in a mirrorless camera, it does away with that whole mirror situation entirely, and instead, the light is hitting the sensor all the time. And then the way you get a viewfinder is that it's just a tiny video screen instead of a direct sight through the lens. So here are the advantages and disadvantages. So mirrorless cameras are smaller, but they also have worse battery life because the sensor and that digital viewfinder or the screen, they have to be on at all times for you to be able to see anything. Now the DSLRs are a little bit bigger, a little bit bulkier, but they are excellent at shooting photos all day because they use very little battery power while they're sitting idle and while you're lining up your shots. And then they only have to use power when they flip that mirror and take the picture, and then they can go back to a low power idle state. So if you're shooting like mostly photos, like predominantly photos, DSLRs can be the best choice. Now for video, DSLR and mirrorless are going to be the same pretty much on battery life because they need that screen running all the time, and that mirror will just stay flipped up on the DSLR. So I went with a mirrorless camera because it's just a little bit smaller and lighter. And if I need to take photos, I still can, but I don't do photos all day long. Thank you guys for all the awesome questions. I had a blast answering them. I hope that helped. As you guys start taking this stuff and putting it into practice, share it with us. We want to see how you guys are using this stuff out there to make your videos better. And we're just excited to see what you guys are going to do. I'm CT. We'll see you next time.
And we're back. We hope that answered all of your questions. But CT, I have a question.
Okay, what's that?
Do you want to give something away?
I do want to give something away.
I think we should give something away.
I'm feeling really generous right now.
All right. So CT, what are we giving away?
So this is the giveaway from last week. This is the gloves dispenser pouch. You pull gloves out right here. Fits a whole box of the nitrile gloves. Also comes with the round brog patch. The new one says reclaim your journey. So our lucky winner is at D_LE24 on Instagram. Oh, your name is a little hard to pronounce, but congratulations, dude. We got this coming your way. Send us your email and your address. We'll get this shipped out as soon as possible. All right, so what are we giving away this week?
This week, we are giving away a map of your choice. It can be one of the Purple Lizard maps, can be one of the Backcountry Discovery Route maps. The only catch is, it's gotta be in stock. We are also gonna give you one of the new summer patches. So you're probably gonna be one of the first people to do that. So CT, how can they win a map and this very special summer patch?
I am glad you asked. So upcoming, we're doing a whole series on radios, comms, and communication. So drop us your questions that regards to radios, antennas, communication, ham, GMRS, all that fun jazz. Drop it in a comment down below and you will be entered to win a map.
And a patch.
And a patch of your choosing. You get to pick which map.
But in stock.
But in stock.
Yeah,
of your choosing.
that's it. That's
yes,
the only
that's it.
Can't
all right,
ship you something we don't have.
All right, what's coming next week?
All right, so this Thursday we are releasing a walk-around video of a Toyota Tacoma. So all you taco fans out there, get ready for that. Even you non-taco fans, these walk-arounds are a lot of fun.
Yes.
And then next week, as CT just hinted, on the Bonfire, we will be kicking off a new series on radio communications. I'm a little bit of a radio geek, kind of a big geek, I guess. So I'm kind of looking forward to kind of sharing some of my knowledge and experience with you guys, but I want to make sure we stay on topic. So make sure you drop those questions down below so I can do my best to answer them.
I'm CT.
I'm Dean.
We'll see you guys next week. Same Brog time.
Same Brog channel.